Google, Bill Bodner, former golf pro. He's been in the music industry. And as you remember, when 2019 was wrapping up, what were we heading into? 2020. And not going to go into details, but he was one of the few people I remember when he was doing market analysis towards the end of 2019 and had laid out forecasting what's going to happen. And then kind of at the end, but there's something on the horizon happening in China. There's this thing called Corona, this potential virus. And if that gets over here, that could change everything in our mortgage industry. So he doesn't get really credit on the national scene about this, but he was one of the first people that actually laid that out and anticipated that if what happened in 2020 did happen, and he's talking about this in 2019, it would be a disruptor and would really change things in the mortgage industry. And we all know exactly what happened. So what I love about being around him is he's got the heart of a teacher.
My name is Bill Bodner, and I have my bride here, Karen, with me. We have a software company called Tabrasa. Rather than your typical economic talk with high, technical jargon, you try to make it relatable, right? What's happening? Where are rates headed? Why are they headed that way? What's next? So that your loan officers, as we go through this discussion, think about what it would be like for your loan officer, just be a little bit better, be able to talk to this stuff, whether you're talking to a member, an opportunity, a realtor, the government reopen, what does it mean? So that's what we're going to talk about, and it gives your loan officers the ability to speak in real time, right? And rates were spiking, and to his credit, he did a great job, right? He started staking the ground, he stabilized the market. He didn't do this, right, buy bonds to help, fuel a refinance bonanza and a purchase business craziness. But he did a great job, stabilizing the market, but he did it too long. And that was his first error. Right? CUREN events with my friends at Arch. And I said, I'm going to tell you one thing that's not going to happen between now and next year. Prices are not going to rise by 6.5%. And so they're not. And like I said a moment ago, things change fast. As you can see, consumer confidence rebounds on lower inflation. This wasn't like 40 years later. This was like weeks later. So don't get caught up on the consumer sentiment. Give your clients a hug. Give your members a hug. We obviously don't want the soft data to become hard data where you can measure and say, oh crap, now we're really hitting the wall. Healthcare, housing, higher education are government subsidized. Look at this kerfuffle that we had in Washington, D.C. What was it about? It wasn't about lowering healthcare. It was creating a subsidy just so that we can make the inflationary impact feel better. Call it what it is. It was a subsidy to help offset the ridiculous rates of inflation. Maybe we should get out of the subsidy game.
Okay, so let me kind of tell you who we are at First Close. First Close, what we do is we have about 220 clients, and what we do with our 220 clients, about 90-ish are all credit unions. So we specialize in the credit union space, and what we do is we help you get your members off the street very quickly on your equity loans. What does that really mean? Well, within our POS, and I'm going to show you a couple screenshots in just a second. In our POS, what we do is when your member goes online and applies, we start technology behind. They put their name, they put their address in. Immediately, ADM is pulled behind the scenes. A question will come up and say, hey, we want to pull a soft credit. It's not going to affect your credit score. If you agree, click here. It immediately pulls a soft credit, and then all of a sudden, based on the findings from the AVM, we reverse engineer it. So we know when they bought the property, we know how much they took the loan out for, we know how long they've had it, so we can re-engineer what's their approximate balance on their house versus the AVM over here, so we know what lendable equity they have. We match that with your parameters internally, and then it'll spit out an offering very quickly for them. So that's in a nutshell kind of what we do, but we even do it a lot quicker and better than a lot of other systems, and I'll tell you why. Is because we put automation behind it. So as soon as that borrower accepts your terms, all the services are ordered in the background, and they come back very quickly. So I'm going to show you the digital application real quick, the borrower portal or order management solutions, and the digital close, because we do all of those. On a line of credit, you can qualify for this. Maybe you guys have a minimum draw amount. It'll come out there and it'll report, and it'll give you the price on there. Well, I don't really want an equity line. I want an equity loan. They can toggle between the two, and it'll give it.
Authors can tell you, and as Anthropic can tell you, to tunes of billions of dollars. OpenAI will probably tell you for tunes of billions of dollars. Once an AI is trained on text, it can and it will regurgitate it explicitly. I guarantee you there will be a future where you will be able to do corporate espionage just by going on ChatGPT and trying to get it to leak data that had been inadvertently trained on. Because AI is a fantastic fraud enabler. Generative AI can be used multimodally to create fraudulent, what we call phishing attacks, of the sort that we've never seen before. That's the human scale. Now, when I say AI can scale that to an order of magnitude more, that should give you an idea of how commonplace this is going to be. Worse yet, if they have your voice, if they have your video, if they have your photo, generative AI can work multimodally. In real time, they can generate speech that clones your speech. In near real time, and it's approaching real time, they can create video of varying quality. We're seeing how to put more stock in things that they can touch, they can feel, things that we know are not automatically generated, right? We can't treat them. That's gone with text, that's gone with photos, that's gone with video. What does that look like societally? We're going to see more of that. Likewise, when you think about fraudsters, you have to recognize that traditional electronic channels of communication are irrevocably compromised. This is where I'm giving Ken his due here, since we're in communicative cybersecurity. But it is fundamentally trying to solve that underlying problem of you cannot trust pure email, you cannot trust pure SMS. If you do not know how to communicate with somebody in advance, and especially in the mortgage space, that can be incredibly difficult, right? You have wire transfers going out every day, right? You have investors coming in, you have loans going out. Securing those modes of communication, that's obviously for everybody been an issue now for decades. Now that we're scaling this, you have to assume the existence of fraud and try to work your way into trust.
Really simple. How many of you, by a show of hands, could use more members to give more mortgages to? Okay. All right. I think I'm in the right place. Well, again, my goal today, guys, share a little bit about me and who I am, but most importantly, talk about today's borrowers and how you can serve them. So, having said that, you're going to hear me say something called multicultural. And multicultural has a lot of different meanings to a lot of different people. At NAMBA, we focus on multicultural in really 4 cohorts. Single females, which I'm going to talk about a little bit here in just a second. Millennials, either all of us have one or know one or 2. Communities of color, Asian, Latino, African American, Native American, etc., and then LGBTQ. Those 4 cohorts, single females, millennials, communities of color, LGBTQ, are going to represent a significant amount of business opportunities. Matter of fact, I like to say it's almost a $2.9 trillion market today. From a marketing standpoint, it's really simple. You've got to pivot from generic marketing to what we call intentional personalization from a marketing side. Why? Because your customer of yesterday is not your customer of today. Home buyers are millennial, but they want to buy a home before they get married. Why? It's real simple. Take our first cohort, single females. According to NACE, National Association of College Educators, in 2023, the ratio of women to men entering college is 3-to-1. So if you're a community credit union and you're looking for a segment of potential members that you can engage and connect with, they're right there sitting in each of your local communities within a college or institution. They're coming out with high-paying jobs, high-paying degrees, but again, they're wanting to buy a home. They just don't know the journey, and most importantly, they don't know who to trust. In my opinion, credit unions are the institution of trust because you're built on the foundation of educating the communities that you live in. And to me, this is where credit unions have the advantage over banks and certainly IMBs, independent mortgage banks. You have always focused on educating members in your local market.
Now, I'm going to say this probably more than once. We often talk about generational wealth. Tony mentioned it. I hear it all the time whenever I go to credit union events, generational wealth. It's an important topic. How do we focus on generational wealth and building that generational wealth for our membership? Well, if you're not part of every single life event that they go through, you're not going to be there for that generational wealth. And life events can be the big five. They can be something as simple as birthdays, anniversary.
It could be done better.
So your so your loan officers have or assigned branches. They go out and they build those relationships, but it can be done better.
Sure.
You know, once a month trainings,
Yeah.
once a month sit downs with branches to say, hey, this is the latest promotion we're having with mortgage. Let them feel a part of it, right? If they feel a part of the process, they're more likely going to engage with you.
We feed them and we create contests for them. So
Right.
if they sent so many referrals over that month, India has a budget to, give something away or do something for them to try to.
Or repeating the things that we continue to do day in and day out. And so today, and on our agenda for this presentation, we're really going to focus on these 4 bullets. We're going to review whether or not we are stuck in the past or building for the future. We're going to focus on the market reality, costs, cycle times, member expectations, and then we're going to have some interaction where we focus on 4 growth shifts for us to win now. And then at the end, I'm going to provide you with 12 actions that you really can take back to your credit union and implement on Monday. So let's focus on, the simple truth. And ask yourself a question. Are you a relic of the past or are you building for the future? And I think that is a simple question that all of us really need to ask ourselves, our teams, our credit unions, because again, I hear it all too often. Well, we've always done it this way. Right? That is the kiss of death. I think we all know that. Because our industry, and as Tony already just showed us, it's changing, it's evolving, but we have not evolved.